let's try to help. Julia. Okay. It's Julia's time. So, Julia, what is artificial intelligence to you? If you cannot answer, the second person will answer is the Peggy, then Sarah. Okay. What's AI stand for?
I think to me, the artificial intelligence is the learn from the past. You can use the past history to match the future, the result you want to be more fit, a good result.
Okay. From her saying, I pay attention to catch the keywords. Learn from the past. Pattern, good result. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so he mentioned about learning. Based on the learning, you get the pattern. Then have the result. That's AI, right?
To me,
Yeah, sure. That's your opinion, right? If you know everything, that's no good. Why? If you know everything, you need not to come to class. Definitely, you knew nothing. That's the reason you are here. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Then Julia, what's your opinion? I'm sorry. Teddy, I'm sorry. What's your opinion about the AI? What's more? Give me more.
Efficiency to do what I want to do.
Okay, you keyword efficiency, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't mention anything about the IT, am I correct? What's the class? What's the title of this class?
IT.
Okay, IT should be pattern, should be efficiency, and good result, right? So you make conclusion about that.
Use IT pattern and with the efficiency to make the decision.
Very good. So in other words, what her Sarah saying is, we try to use the IT, okay, to organize a pattern, then produce good result. Am I correct? Okay. Elaine, okay, make this story further.
System acts like a human.
Okay, good. So, yeah, the other jargon comes in called human. We want those IT to learn pattern, make things better, just like a human did. Am I correct? And this we call the artificial intelligence. Okay, then question. How we learn pattern before? How you learn the pattern? How we learn the pattern? Experience, okay? Long time ago, I have dog. How if you have, anyone have dog in your home, okay? If you have dog, one thing you don't want your dog to do, the most things you don't want your dog to do in your home, what's that? Yes, okay? So you want to ask your dog to do two things. Number one, to eat something inside the bowl. To eat outside the bowl is no good. Second, if you want to poo-poo, go to outside, not inside. Am I correct? How you educate your dog? Okay. Can you speak the dog's language? No, right? We have no way to communicate with dog. All we can say, one, and then move on. So, the way I teach my dog, say, do this, don't do that. We use a knit ball, okay, with a hard paper, chili. Okay, then put, just intentionally put outside. Then my dog biting those things. Then my dog, then never do it again. That's called learning in the hard way. Sometimes it's no good, but normally it's the quickest way. And dog have the short memory. Then he will forget. You need to do this again. So this actually is no good. And the other way is that I want I put that newspaper inside the bathroom to ask my dog. Just try to use a lot of gesture to teach dog. So if you want to poop or whatever inside this paper, then I realized, a couple days after, I realized, gee, my dog is a good dog. But his poo-poo is not inside the newspaper. It's a little bit outside this newspaper. Why? Because the newspaper is not too big, okay? I said here, he watch here, but he's the 尾巴在外面嘛。Okay, so I need to set inside a little bit more. So this whole way to teach things, try to find a pattern, we call the try error. People learning things a lot of times just like animal behavior. It's a try error. Do it again. If you're doing good, you will say good. Doing no good, okay, that's we try one way to learn things called that. Okay, get a try error, and you will recognize this is good, that's no good. Okay, but a lot of things you cannot learn it by try error. What else you can do? If you want to find a pattern. Yeah, how you find a pattern? You find a pattern of behavior. How you find, recognize, classic. So pattern actually is a classifier. Okay, am I correct? For instance, in this classroom, I would say pattern will be male and female. That's called category. Okay, so then if you're doing this kind of classify, what kind of discipline you learned before? 哪一个课教你去学它？ Yeah, right, but a little bit close. Statistics. You try to use a statistic. What kind of pattern you learn from statistics? Number one, what does R squared stands for? R squared equal to 1. What does that mean? It's the x change 1 unit. Y also change 1 unit. That means that R squared equal to 1. R squared equal to 0 means that you change 1 unit or 0.5 unit. Okay, Y doesn't have a response. That means that nothing related. That's called the correlation. R squared is stand for correlation. Okay, positive correlated, negative correlated. Am I correct? So in your life, your salary, adjust salary or not, should be correlated with the inflation rate. Am I correct? This young lady said no because it never get a raise due to the inflation. Wow, change the job, okay? Okay, that's called correlation. And what else? In the regression, we try to learn is called the prediction. Fy equal to fx. The change of y depends on change of x. Am I correct? Okay. Then we need correlation. And how about association? Association, for instance, sequence association. You have the x. Okay, the next should be Y, then next one should be Z. Okay, also something we call a cluster. Cluster means that you have a group, okay? Group is this, for instance, in this class, we have a group from the Taipei, we have a group from the Taoyuan, we have a group from the Hsinchu, which are distinguished, say, by the where you live, by county. Okay, that's called cluster. How we do this is by statistics. Then this is a kind of the pattern. Okay, so we use the statistics to do the something to recognize pattern. Then question: if you want to use any kind of the statistic techniques, what is the requirement? You need to have assumptions. Okay, for instance, you would like to use the regression. You need to have the equivariance, normality, right? Independence, linearity. If you violate any of these assumptions, the result will be not so accurate. Am I correct? So that's also if you want to use the statistics, okay, there are a lot of assumptions. For instance, you can make a prediction. Is it only true the range of this data set? You have no way to make a prediction beyond this data set of the range. So really, it's very difficult for us to say, okay, to follow the assumptions. So which a challenge is say, okay, computer can do it. So long time ago, we really want the computer can mimic human behavior. That's a very early beginning of the artificial intelligence. Okay, why people want computer behavior like human beings? Why? I'm sorry. Okay, Yang mentioned about the fast. Okay. For instance, the other question: why we want to develop the duplicate human beings? No, why we want to develop technology to duplicate you? Can we duplicate her? Yes. Have you heard about the Dory? We can duplicate the Dory is ship, right? We have no way we can duplicate her. Definitely we have limitations. The limitation is the average life of the Dory is only for 6 years. The average life of the ship is 12 years. Because we can sail from that ship, okay, already 6 years old. That means that the aging is always a challenge of the medicine. Okay, but if we want to develop the human beings, what is the impact of this, and why we want to duplicate human beings? Of course, that's ambitious. Okay, but the other purpose, maybe yes, maybe not. But we always assume yes. In the future, many medicine will be organ implants, right? What's the challenge of the organ implant? No, you have resistance because different person is a resistance. Different person's cells with different resistance. So the best step will be your own organ. Then if you took the organ from your colon, okay, you take her heart to your heart. What happened to her? She will go and die. So that's really have more morals problem. Okay, so we can do a lot of things, but we still cannot do it. But organ implant, that's really will be the future of the medicine. Right now, we can duplicate ears. We can duplicate bladder. Bladder is 膀胱. Okay, we can duplicate the bladder. Then also have a successful case in the United States is implant of the bladder. Because those organ is not from the human beings. It is from the other materials. For instance, 你知道耳朵它在哪边培养？老鼠的背上面，把一个细胞植在老虎上面是培养出来的。Okay, but anyway, we want to actually AI will want to mimic human beings, but the lesson told us is almost impossible. Why? Why is it difficult to color? You can easily to color the people without thinking. But if you want to copy thinking, that's a total different story. One. You know, the mechanism about your brain, okay, a lot of things we have no idea. Believe me, okay, with a limited knowledge about your brain, okay, we know just a little bit, not too much. Actually, we try to classify your behavior will be two parts. One is called logic. The other is emotional. Computer normally can do is the logic. Emotional computer cannot do it. So mimic human behavior for the AI almost gone. But this couple of years and a new AI pop out, artificial intelligence pop out due to the following technology. Number one, if you say, okay, if computer can communicate with human beings, okay, what's the requirement for the computer? Yes, but think about it. If I want to know all the Taiwanese can use computer, what should I do? Okay, very good. Say that. Okay, language in terms of what?
Computer language English mostly.
No, my father cannot speak English. Okay. Okay. In other words, computer should understand Mandarin, Taiwanese, Hakka, right? Then then no matter who they are, can communicate with computer. So in other words, we call the interface. Interface means that you talk to computer, computer talk to you. So in other words, computer can understand you. Think about this. Why Chinese is difficult compared to English? Why Chinese is more difficult than the English?
Because of writing.
Please.
Writing.
Okay. Think about it. Chinese is by character. So in other words, character by character become a meaning, right? 公司 is a firm, right? What's the meaning of the 公? 公 could be public. 司 could be judgment. But together become a phrase, right? Am I correct? But English is by vocabulary. One word represents one thing. So computer try to read the English. The first thing they need to is get rid of the verb, get rid of the pronoun, get rid of the adjective. Then they can recognize your meaning based on noun. So it'll be much easier. But in Chinese, this is called semantics. Anyway, the first big breakthrough called the natural language processing. Computer can understand humans saying. Okay, what else human beings can do? You are human, okay? Just okay, if I go here, okay, your eye will go with me, right? So in other words, human being can sense a moving target. Am I correct? Okay. Can computer sense a moving target? Definitely yes, right? Otherwise we don't have automobile driving vehicles, right? That's with the sensor. So computer plus the sensor. Okay, then computer with the sensor, what does that mean? You need to have the one thing, okay? One device shooting or this moving target, okay, with a tag. This tag will be transmit signal. Okay, I transmit signal. Then the computer, the object here, with a sensor to receive this signal. Then based on this, you can recognize me, am I correct? Okay, that's a sensor. Okay, so that's a way we can make computer can sense. Okay, how about computer? Human being can talk, right? Can computer talk? Yes. How? Then maybe assembly speech. So people can read character, computer can read based on OCR, based on scanner. Okay. How about the pictures? So actually, artificial intelligence, let me put it this way. At the very beginning, we want to mimic human behavior. Then say that's too big, we shrink. We want computer with intelligent, because we make assumption. Creatures, all the animals, they should have the intelligent. For instance, let's talk about the dog. What's the level of their intelligence? Dog. What's the level of their intelligence? Level.
6 years child.
Yes, about 6 years old and 7 years old child. So their intelligence is about 6 or 7 years old child. This average, some dogs are probably very smart, some are very stupid. For instance, Dalmatian is big. 你们知道什么叫 Dalmatian 的狗吗？101中国大丹狗。It's so cute, but so stupid. Okay. 狗是越小越聪明。Okay. In a way, so in our way, so that means, okay, is intelligent. So we would like computers from the artificial computer mimic human behavior. Then we say artificial intelligence will focus on intelligence. We shrink. So intelligence then we want computer can act like human beings. Then become this area we call the artificial intelligence. Okay. So we have some idea then we carry on. Actually, AI coined in 1956. Those things nothing you have to. Okay. That's something I copied from somewhere. AI has become more popular today due to the incremental data volume, advanced algorithm, and improvement in the computing power. And 1956, we had the AI, but not so popular. Then all of a sudden, recently, AI becomes so popular and so powerful because we have so many data. Then question. We have so many data, but a lot of data is already there. Why today, all of a sudden, today those data is available? Why? That's some topic tomorrow we will talk. The IT evolution. Everything become possible not one day, but depends on a lot of factors. For instance, the hardware cost, storage cost, okay, they drop so rapidly. If you want to use data, the requirement is you need to have a place to put the data. Put the data due to two things. One is called the logical things. That's called the database. You need to have a software to manage data. But physically, you still need a device to keep this data. That's called the storage space or hard disk. And there are so many data, okay, for you to keep. The assumption is the price of the storage should be dropped a lot. Otherwise, you have no way to keep everything. Am I correct? So, dropping of the hardware price, making a lot of data available. And the other thing called the algorithm. Algorithm such like this. Algorithm it means that okay, if a lot of different logical way. Okay, for instance, mathematics. For instance, we want to recognize your face. Okay, what's your face look like? Think of your face. Your face will be 2 dimensions, right? You actually your face is 2 dimensions. All you can do is try to convert your face 2 dimensions into a mathematics. That's called a matrix. Matrix will be 2 dimensions. Okay, so I try to use a grid. Your face becomes 512 cells. Each represent a variable. Okay, so become this. I can convert this. For instance, 16. Let's use try to use 16. 16. That's will be 196. If I'm correct. It's not more than that. If I go to that down, it's 256. Okay, so if this is a 16 by 16 matrix, how many cells do I have? It's 256. So two dimension matrix can become 256 row. So you have the data record is 256. If any picture comes in, let's assume 16 by 16, I divide it to the 256. Then I can make, one by one make a comparison. If identical, I will say yes. Identical, yes. Then if no, we say 0. If 256 is identical, so similarity will be 1 because the 256 divided by 256. And this way to do the image recognition, we call the algorithm. Actually, it's more challenging of this, more difficult than this. Why? Because sometimes you take picture, okay, it's not full take pictures. You only take a half. Okay, then you need to make judgment. So sometimes you say, okay, how about the possibility of the other part? You need to make another guess. So a lot of different algorithms there. Okay. Then computing power and those make the AI possible. Then summary of AI. Really, at very beginning, we would like to do is everything we want is automation. Okay. For instance, Toyota, they use robot arms in the assembly. Okay, because assembly, is assembly line. The car body transport in assembly line. Here put this part, then 手上螺丝钉. Okay, that. It's very routine. So do this, you can save labor force. But all of a sudden, one day, one worker jump in, accident occurred. Then my question is, who is the company you should sue? Will you sue the Toyota or will you sue the AI company? You mentioned Toyota, right? Yes, I will also sue Toyota. One, Toyota is big. Okay. Right now we do have a lot of regulation. Okay, law tell you who is the company you should sue. Okay. But anyway, at the very beginning is a argument. Okay. Okay. Then reasoning. What's the reason? In the statistic, we call the inference. We would like to understand. For instance, I would like to understand. Is called the header or the header. Okay, if I want to understand header. However, I don't have too much time, too much opportunity to know this term. So what should I do? I will try to get data from her friend. I try to get data from her professor. Based on those inputs, they give me some image about what I person of the header. Then I make a reasoning and say, okay, header maybe like this, maybe like not. That's called reasoning. Okay. So at the very beginning, we want to computer to do this, but right now, okay. We say, okay, to build a system, it builds intelligent behavior, understand intelligence in order to model it. So we try to modeling people. Actually, we say like this. When we talk about AI, this is the fifth domain, AI. Okay, but today, when we talk about AI, probably we don't talk about the fifth domain. We all talk about is called machine learning. Machine learning is which I say, okay, try to use the data to generate pattern. And why we use the term machine learning, right? Because we're one smart guy. They say machine learning, then we follow it. Okay. Then the other subset called the deep learning. What's the machine learning? What's the deep learning? Here we are. Okay. Then we need to understand what is intelligence. Intelligence, in a people's point of view, intelligence means that the computer should understand speech and have the ability to vision and motion manipulation, ability to model the world and to reason about it, ability to learn and adapt. Let me put it simple way. How you model the other person to you? How you model? If I don't use this word, model, okay? How you model this person to you? I change the other way to say it. How you decide who are your friend? It's the same thing. How you how you decide who are your friend? In other words, there are so many persons. Then you will recognize, say, okay, this kind of person is my friend. They are not define. Okay, how you define?
Speech, motion, connection.
Okay, no, I'm saying, I try to explain the word model. Model actually is kind of the category. Model is called a summary. Model is a simplified. If I say how you model your friend, it's the same question I ask you. How when you choose your friend? So in other words, there are so many persons in front of you. You will say, okay, those persons are my friend. I will ask you next question. Why? You will say, okay, those persons with this kind of capability, they are warm, they would like to help, they are happy. This is called the characteristics. Okay, so computer have the capability to get this kind of a pattern, then classify, say, hey, this is your friend. Those person without this capability, that is not your friend. Okay. The first person called Alan Turing. That's a movie, okay, about her, about him. 模仿游戏的 Turing, okay. It's a quite sad story. And I watched this movie for me to learn one thing. Okay. And different person learn different things from this movie. I know one thing, actually this idea, okay, I do have this idea long time ago. Actually, I learned it, it's not in Taiwan. Okay, I learned it in the United States. In the Taiwan, we always, my time, not you, not necessary for you, okay? We are laughing different. We want everything, people should be same. If you are not same kind of person, you are bad person. Okay? 非我族类，其心必诛嘛。Okay, that's what we learned. But in the United States, they emphasize diversity. They teach me that you need to respect different. So this kind of concept is again. For instance, 小的时候我不喜欢我妈妈去母姐会，为什么？因为我妈妈很胖。一去母姐会，同学会笑我妈，你妈什么肥猪？我就听得很不爽，就要跟她打架，又打不赢，所以心里头有阴影。不是吗？很多时候其实我们应该教我们的小朋友要容忍不一样的东西。Okay, but this movie just enhanced what I learned in the United States. You know, tuning is really difficult person to get along with. Actually, G is a monster. Goal-oriented. Okay, homosexual. Okay, but anyway, this movie said, okay. His friend comfort him, say, okay, if you are unique, okay, you should have some talent. In other words, for me, try to teach me, try to respect, okay, different. Try to allow, get along with a different person. That's something I learned from him. Anyway, this person said, okay, he said, human beings are intelligent. He defined human beings are intelligent. So to be called intelligent, a machine must produce responses that are indistinguishable from those of human. In other words, if you want to say computer intelligent, so computer should be indifferent from human beings. That's the definition. But in terms of what? He said, okay, number one, you need acting like human. Okay, what's the acting like human? He developed a test called tuning test. Tuning test is like this. Tuning test may provide a way on how to recognize intelligence. It does not provide a way to get that, okay? Just say, okay, this is the standard. You say, okay, your computer is intelligent, but do not teach you how your computer appears to them, okay? This is the following criteria. Number one, natural language processing. In other words, your computer should understand humans saying. That's for natural language processing. Number two, they should know the non-representation. In other words, they should understand how to retrieve knowledge, then how to distribute knowledge, how should they organize some knowledge, then automated reasoning. In other words, they can make a reference, okay, reasoning by itself. For instance, 我想说自驾车 auto driving car. What does that mean? We say this car is intelligent. What does that mean?
Identify
No, they can drive by itself, right? So in other words, they know when to stop, right? Okay. Then machine learning, computer vision, robotic. That's a tuning test every year. Okay, they use this criteria. So operate then the following. Operational definition of AI. Machine that upon human thinking or behavior, including number one, you need to follow decision-making criteria. You should have the communication skills, image or voice recognition from any method. And most of the researchers apply computer to learn intelligence through algorithm. Okay, that's operational definition. Then the following. Number one, for the neural network. What is a neural network? Neural network and artificial neural net. This one, machine learning. Let's carry on this afternoon. Traditional programming language. You need to have the logic. Then you have the data, you get answer. That's the traditional programming. But machine learning is like this. First of all, you need to have answer. Then you have data. Okay? Then based on this, we get the rules. That's totally different thought. What does that mean? Then we'll explain this afternoon. Okay. Any question? I talk, quite rough about the AI. Okay. So, could you tell me what is AI? Make a summary this morning. Or Robert, could you make a summary about this morning, this class? Summary of the AI.
AI use the image system to learn the data from the past and make the decision and to forecast make the right decision.
Okay. Very good. But how about let's make it this way? Try to make big summary. AI at the very beginning, we want computer mimic human beings. Then we failed. So we shrink the application. AI actually will focus on intelligence, not 100%. But this intelligence, we try to limit it. Is to say, okay, try to find a pattern. So try to find a pattern, we have basically two approach. Actually, basically, is one approach called the machine learning. Deep learning actually is the more advanced machine learning. Still is a machine learning. What's the machine learning? Just this diagram. And this diagram doesn't make sense like you, so I try to use an example to tell you. In a bank, okay, how we define, okay, you are the person, well, pay the loan or do not pay the loan. So what will I do? So normally, we need to have the regulation. This regulation, okay, based on this criteria. If you satisfy this criteria, we give you loan. Otherwise, we do not grant you the loan. Am I correct? Okay, that's how the bank can get this criteria. The approach they use called the discriminant analysis. Discriminant analysis means that we try to use a lot of the criteria. For instance, how long you have this job, then do you have a house, the type of your position, that's called variable. Based on this variable, we make a prediction. If this prediction is 99%, then this variable will become a criteria. But the question is, how will you get this criteria? Very beginning, you need to have some potential input, am I correct? So in potential input, that will be huge. So basically, it's based on your experience. Loan officer, your experience and your experience. Officer said, what you say, put together. That's the way we do it. It's very subjective. That's one way, traditional way to do it. But today, we say, no, we don't want to do this. We have a huge data pool. There are two types of person. 100%, 60% will pay their loan fully. The other 40%, they don't pay their loan. Okay, so this is a part of the data set. Okay, so we're doing this means we have data here, then we try to classify, say, okay, what type of the pattern, what type of features in this person pay the loan? what kind of person they don't pay the law, try to get similarity. Okay, so this kind of person that don't pay along, they do have this kind of the features, such as they change job so dramatically. This company and they have this job less than 6 months. So this called the lures. So in other words, we use this data try to get the lures. But the question is, I have no way to understand your lures is true or not. So I will doing is this data set, okay, I will divide into 2 parts. The first part is for you to build up your model. Okay, you get lures. Then use these lures to make try to use the other half data set to make prediction. If 100% correct, this lure will be varied. This is called model building and model testing. Those things are used in the data analytics today. Okay, that's probably something like this. But anyway, we will carry on this afternoon. Okay, let's have the happy lunchtime. See you 1 p.m. 我用来帮我录一下 ，AI 你们听懂了吗？真的吗？我自己都觉得听起来毛毛的，我都觉得蛮抽象东西。你说继续学习怎么样？对，基本上我觉得很难说人家去学你的 behavior 的东西有没有？你说